So first of all, good morning, everyone. Thank you for finding the time to attend this third tutorial, which is being organized as part of an Erasmus Plus project entitled Children as Creators of Augmented Reality Stories. My name is Lawrence, and I'm an academic at the University of Malta, which is one of the project partners in this project. As you can see by the title, today in this third video tutorial, we will focus on digital assets for augmented reality stories, where we will be looking at the various resources that we can use to identify and find assets to create our augmented reality scenes. This is the third video tutorial, which is in fact part of a larger, let's call it a course or a program that is being organized as part of this Erasmus Plus project. And before I delve into the details of this particular session, I would like to briefly outline the preceding video tutorials, which are lesson 3 and lesson 4 in this course, which, by the way, is available on the official project webpage, which is carsproject.eu. In the first video tutorial, which corresponds to lesson 3 in this course, we looked at augmented reality. We provided an introduction to what is augmented reality. And we also had a look at different approaches through which one can create augmented reality stories. And then, for the most part in this tutorial, in this first tutorial, we focused on the fundamentals of ZepWorks, where we looked at a specific authoring platform called ZepWorks. In the second video tutorial, which is lesson 4 in this course, we looked at storyboards. We identified the importance of storyboards and underscored how storyboards can help us identify what assets do we need in every scene, as well as establish the logical sequence of scenes. We looked at an example of a storyboard and how this was translated into a series of augmented reality scenes. And we also looked at animations and user interaction. So how can we animate our assets that we have in our story, and how we can add elements of user interaction. So these have been the 2 video tutorials so far, and I suggest that before you watch this tutorial, you go through each and every lesson. Today's objective is to, first of all, recognize the different types of digital elements, and we will also be looking at the technical considerations such as file sizes and file types that are supported by ZepWorks for each and every resource. We will also be looking at different resources where you can obtain the different digital elements or digital assets. When I say digital elements, I'm referring to things like 3D models, images, sounds, and videos. And we'll also be comparing what are the pros and cons of using different resources for each and every digital element. As a bit of a reminder, this is the user interface in ZepWorks. So as you can see from this user interface, there are really a number of elements or assets that are supported. We have buttons, text, images, video, 3D models, and also sounds. Now, buttons and text, these are inherently supported by ZepWorks. So in actual fact, you don't need to find to search for any buttons or text because these are built into ZepWorks. However, when it comes to images, videos, 3D models, and sounds, very often you need to find specific assets that are tailor-made to your story. And in fact, this is what we're going to focus upon in this tutorial. We're going to look at the technical consideration for each different file type for images, videos, 3D models, and sounds. And we will also be looking at different resources from where we can obtain these various assets. I'm going to start with probably the type of asset with which you are probably all familiar with, which are images. Probably if you are teachers or if you're working in a university or whatever may be the case, you have all probably worked with images at some point or another. So this is probably the type of resource with which you are the most familiar. So in ZepWorks, of course, I'm going to speak about ZepWorks, but many augmented reality authoring platforms share similar requirements, let's call them like that. In ZepWorks, the type of images that are supported are .png files or .jpg files. These are pretty common image file types. And the maximum upload size for every image is 10 megabytes. Now, this is important because usually with raster images, the bigger the resolution of the image, the larger will be the file size. So there is a direct correlation between the file size and the resolution of the image. However, I would say that in my experience, 10 megabytes, it's a pretty reasonable maximum upload size. But this is something that you have to keep into consideration. And if you exceed that 10 megabytes per image limit, in fact, when you try to upload your images into ZepWorks, you would not be able to. It will, in fact, give you an error and tell you that you have exceeded the maximum upload size. In this presentation, I have also included a link to the documentation pertaining to ZepWorks. Now, these are the technical considerations when it comes to images. However, what about the resources? So realistically, there are three main approaches or three main types of resources that you can use when searching for images. So you can use either image repositories. These are typically websites which allow you to download images and use them for educational purposes. You can use images that you might have taken with your own smartphone or with your own camera. Maybe you went on a holiday, you snapped a couple of interesting pictures, and you might want to use those as long as those images fulfill these specifications, that is, they are JPEG or .png, and that their maximum upload size is 10 megabytes. Also, you have to keep in mind that when you are using augmented reality, the device that you are using has a camera in it, okay? Because we cannot use augmented reality if the device does not have a camera in it. So we can actually snap images while using the augmented reality software. Another option or another approach to obtain images is to use generative artificial intelligence tools. These are quite trending at the moment, and there are also some very interesting solutions that I will cover. So let's have a look at the first approach, the image repositories. So here I have listed three, let's say, websites which allow us to use images, to search for images and use them and integrate them into our augmented reality scenes. Something to note is that I have also listed the terms of use for these different websites. I have gone through the terms of use for these specific websites, and very often author attribution is required. In some instances, it is even optional. So you may not be required, so to speak, to attribute the author, although it's always good to create that image. The benefit of using an image repository is that you have a vast array of ready-to-use images. Overall, the quality of these images, as you will see, I will navigate to one of the websites. The overall quality is quite good. As I mentioned, you would need to acknowledge the author or the photographer, really. However, very often you might find limitations, such as you might have a limited number of free downloads. And also, another thing to consider is that if you need a very, very specific image, okay, that can be quite time consuming. So, for example, if you need an image of a turtle, an image of someone wearing a specific costume in a specific setting, using image repositories can be a bit more challenging. In fact, it may take some time for you to find the correct image. The other approach is to use a device camera. So you can use either your personal smartphone's camera or you can use the camera on the device that you're using to view your augmented reality story. Of course, the benefit is that you can acquire the image very fast. However, you should also be aware of possible privacy concerns, especially if there are people in the background who may not wish to have their faces showing up in the photo, especially if this photo is going to be published into an augmented reality scene. For the time being, I'm going to switch to a different to one of these websites, Pixabay. Again, as you can see, there's quite an array of images that you can use. Most of these, as you can see, are royalty free, and you can use them for educational purposes. Okay, and all you need to do is search for type in the text, the search term that you want to use. You'll find quite a number of, as you can see, good quality images here. Okay, let's say I'm going to choose this image. All I need to do is click on download, and as you can see, from the prompt here, there are the images available in 4 different resolutions. If you notice, the larger the resolution, the larger will be the file size. In this case, this should not be an issue because we can go with the larger resolution, but this is something that you should be aware of. So if you have a file size which exceeds 10 megabytes, you may not use that because that would be beyond the maximum limit allowed in ZapWorks. All you need to do is simply click on, I would say, this resolution is enough for me. Click download. This will download the image in my download folder. You can also you can simply copy also this text, which is the attribution to the image, and you can include it later on in your references. All you need to do, pardon me, I have a scene already set up in ZapWorks. I will click on the image. I will click the upload button here. And this will basically take me to my file explorer. I will search for the image, which I downloaded, which is the lighthouse here, open. And basically, it is a very simple upload process. You'll give it a couple of minutes, and now that image is available to be used. Of course, we wouldn't still need to use things, commands like scale, okay, to position our image, etc., etc., etc. But as you can see, it's pretty much a straightforward process. All I need to do is click on image, click on the upload button, look for the image that I downloaded, and basically that's it. You select the image and hit open. So this is one of the resources which I have listed here. There are other resources. Another resource is called Pexels. It works in a pretty much the same way. You search for the photos that you need, you download the photos, and then you upload them into ZapWorks, and they basically work in the same manner. Going back to the PowerPoint presentation that I had, so these are the use of image repositories. I won't spend much more time on these because they work quite similarly to each other. We also mentioned UI device camera. The third approach, which may be new to some of you, is to use generative artificial intelligence tools. So for those of you who are completely unfamiliar with what these are, basically this is using artificial intelligence. In essence, this would be a website which uses artificial intelligence, and it will create an image or images based on what are called prompts. Prompts are essentially instructions that we provide to the artificial intelligence backend of the website. Now, for those of you who are familiar, I have included Microsoft Paint, which is not a website. But if you are using a Microsoft Windows operating system, you should be aware of an upcoming update. This would be very useful, especially in schools. Whereas in Microsoft's Paint is basically getting an update. This is a rolling update, whereby it will integrate the use of generative AI in Microsoft Paint. So essentially, it would allow you to type in a prompt, an instruction, and it will generate the image, a specific image, in Microsoft Paint. As I mentioned, this is an update which is still being rolled out, so you might not have it yet. In fact, I don't have it yet on one of my machines. However, if you don't have that, it's not a problem, because what we can use things like Microsoft Designer, Image Creator, which is the AI version of created by Microsoft. And another option is to use DALL-E, which is also an AI tool for creating images. I'm going to show you these here. So I'm going to close off these websites. So this is Microsoft Image Creator. All the images that you see here have been created through prompts. So if you notice at the top bar here, we are asked to type in a set of instructions, whatever that instruction may be. However, I strongly suggest that before you start typing in instructions, you actually try to find an image which is very close to what you need. Okay, so for example, let's use this element, this image here. What is particularly interesting is that when I click on the image, basically I can see the prompt which was used to create that image. So you might say, so what? If you notice, there are boxes, and I can actually edit these boxes to create variations of that particular image. So for example, if I want an image similar to this elephant, but instead of an elephant, let's say I want a tiger instead of the, and I'm going to click generate. This will obviously take some time. I'm doing this live, okay? But as you will see, hopefully, it will generate an image of a tiger, which is juggling balls and is wearing a clown costume. And there you go. So we have created an image in the same style as that elephant, but instead having the elephant, as you can see, we are provided with 4 variations, which we can download very easily and use as part of our augmented reality scenes. These are some of my attempts, which you can see here. For some reason, they are not loading, but I have also created some. These are some attempts in which I have created images using AI. So the whole point is that rather than creating a prompt from scratch, it is usually more helpful to find an image which is close to what you need. Of course, it will not be identical to what you need. For example, this kind of prompts, and modify the prompt that already exists. So again, we have a bowl, a realistic photograph of oranges in a blue bowl, and the blue water pitcher in a rustic farmhouse table. So instead of oranges, I might say, okay, I want apples. The bowl needs to be pink bowl. And the water pitcher is going to remain as is. Okay, so again, this can be a good option where I'm using text. If you're noticing, I'm not using any photo editing software, and it is quite fast. Okay, this is being done in real time. And I can create, okay, in this case, we got something similar, but not what I had in mind. But as you can see, we got our pink bowl with apples. Okay. This leads me to an important note with regards to using generative AI tools. One of the benefits of using AI is that, first of all, you can create very, very specific images because, again, one of the disadvantages of using readily available images or photos is that you might not find the exact specific image that you have in mind for your story. Generative AI tools allow you to do that. Another benefit of using generative AI tools is that all you're doing is you're using text prompts. So you're not using any photo editing software. You don't need to have any particular set of technical skills. You need to have a good text prompt. On the flip side, the disadvantage of using generative AI tools, first of all, is that the success rate of the image generation may vary. So you might type in text and the output, which in this case is an image, may not correspond, may be far off from what you had in mind. So it may take some time to actually tweak your prompt so that you get the image that you had in mind. And this is why I have underscored here using existing images as a template, okay? Because they might actually be using existing images, which is something you can do in Microsoft Designer and in other generative AI tools, can provide you with a good starting point in creating the image that you have in mind. A disadvantage of these tools is that while these tools are free, you have a limited number of tries. In fact, if I go back to my AI screen, you'll notice that I have coins here. And every time I create an image, so these coins are free. Every month I get 15 coins. But once you have basically created 15 images, basically you have to pay money in order to top up those coins. So the whole point is that you have a limited number of attempts that you can use, but I think at least this gives you a taste of how you can use AI to create specific images that you have in mind. So these are essentially the three main approaches: using either image repositories, using your own camera or your own photos that you have taken, or else using generative AI tools. Now, moving on to 3D models. So we will cover 3D models, and then I will give you as the audience some time to ask any questions that you have about these two assets. So 3D models. 3D models are also another type of asset that you can use. Essentially, in ZepWorks, it supports three types of file formats: GLB.gltf and embedded GLTF. Probably some of you may not have heard about these, but I can assure you that these are pretty common formats for 3D models. Something else to keep in mind is that the maximum upload size for every model is 20 megabytes, okay, which is again quite a reasonable size. What are the resources for 3D models? So again, as similarly with images, we can use 3D models, 3D model repositories. Essentially, these are websites which will allow us to download a select number of 3D models. And interestingly enough, we can also use generative AI tools. So what are the options that we have available? So this is a list. The table on the left-hand side provides you with a list of websites which allow you to download and search and download for a limited number of 3D models. Actually, the last one, Microsoft Paint 3D, is not a website, but it is an application that is free. You can download it from Microsoft Store. It is a 3D modeling application. In fact, if you notice, the name is Microsoft Paint 3D. It is Microsoft's attempt to integrate AR and VR in Windows. And essentially, it is an application which has a built-in library of 3D models, which are quite good. And I will be showcasing some of these. So the first three are websites. The last one is not a website. And the link that I have here is, in fact, a link to the Microsoft Store. Probably one of the most popular websites that and most commonly used websites is Sketchfab. So what is Sketchfab? Sketchfab is a website where people can upload their 3D models. They can either make them available for free, but in most cases, they are available against payment. Now, in order to find the free 3D models, what we would need to do is search for 3D models, and we have to make sure that we tick downloadable 3D models. So this will list 3D models that are available for free. So for example, I will search for a turtle, for example, again. So you will notice that some of the models have a dollar sign next to them on the top right-hand corner. So these are models which you can download against payment. However, there are 3D models, there are several of them, which are freely available. For example, this is a 3D model. I'm going to click on it, which is not only freely available, but also it has built-in animations. If you recall in tutorial 2, we underscored that some 3D models may have built-in animation. So this is a 3D model which has built-in animations in it. You can actually click and drag to have a look around. And in order to download the 3D model, all you need to do is click on download 3D model here. Select the file type. So if you notice under GLB, okay, which is what I'm highlighting, there are two options. We can download a high resolution model, which is 26 megabytes, which we cannot use, or we can download a smaller file size, which has a lower resolution, which is a 3 megabyte model. I'm going to download this file. So this will download. So what I'm going to do, all you need to do in order to upload your 3D model into ZapWorks, you'll go on 3D model, select the upload button. So the procedure is pretty similar to images. Okay, the difference is that I clicked on 3D here, I chose 3D models, and there I have my turtle, which is in GLB file format. I will click open. This will take some time for the model to be processed, but once it is processed, it will basically be a 3D model which is readily available. In fact, if you look at my library, I have quite a vast array of 3D models in my library, which I have downloaded and sourced from different resources. In fact, our turtle has been uploaded here. And if we give it a moment, okay, in this case, we don't have the texture yet. It's still processing, but we have the 3D model, we don't have its texture yet. This is because it is still processing in the background. So I need to give it some more time for the texture to appear. But essentially, you can do this for any 3D model that is, well, freely available in this website. So this is one of the websites that you can use. Another useful website, which is also available for free, is Autodesk Tinkercad. This is in fact used in part for creating 3D models. So the registration is free for students in schools and teachers. Once you have registered to Autodesk Tinkercad, all you need to do is click Create 3D Design. And in actual fact, we are not going to create any design from scratch, but rather we are going to make use of the library of readily available 3D models that we can find in Tinkercad. So you will notice that on the right-hand side, we have a panel. And if we click on basic shapes, for example, we can look at creatures and characters. And we have quite a number of 3D models which are readily available. So for example, we have characters, which I am dragging here, okay, that we can use. Once you are happy with the selection, let's say I'm going to choose, this character. Once we are happy with the selection, all we need to do is hit export. So I will select GLTF or .glb as the file format of choice. So this will initiate a download process, which is ready. So all I need to do is go again on ZapWorks, select 3D. I will again upload my 3D model using the process that I showed you earlier. So I will navigate to my downloads folder. In this case, we have this model here. Hit open. Again, this will take some time to process depending on the size of the 3D model. And there we go. Our character is available there. Okay. So as you can see, it's quite an easy and straightforward process. So going back to the PowerPoint presentation, with regards to 3D models, these are some of the websites that we can use. So we have looked at Sketchfab, Autodesk Tinkercad, and another website which does pretty much the same thing is called Polypizza. Now, I have mentioned Microsoft Paint 3D, which I would like to have a look at very, very briefly, because it is, especially for teachers in schools, it is a pretty much a very useful solution. So this is the user interface for Microsoft Paint 3D. So as I mentioned, this is an application that you install for free. I'm going to click New. And what I'm going to do, I'm not going to touch anything. I'm going to immediately navigate to the 3D library. Okay. And as you can see, we have various collections. So for example, we have collections of animals, okay, that we can use. And here we have quite a good list of good quality models for animals, for example. So let's take, for example, the duck, okay, here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on the duck, the 3D model of the duck. And there we have our 3D model. At this point, we don't need to do anything, but if you are curious, you can click on 3D view, and this will show you how the duck looks like. Okay, you can zoom in, zoom out, etc., etc. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to export the duck. So I'm going to go on menu, save as 3D model. And you'll notice that the default format is GLB, and I'm going to give it a name so it is identifiable. I'm going to call it a duck. And again, all I need to do is I'm going to go on 3D, select upload, the upload button, and browse for the 3D model of the duck that I saved, which is here. I will hit open. Again, this will take a couple of seconds to process and for the upload process to complete. But once it is ready, it is available in your library of uploaded 3D models. If you notice, I am nearing the 100 models here. So you can upload quite a large number of 3D models. Okay, this is taking a bit longer, so maybe we will get back to it once it has finished processing. But again, once the upload process has completed, we can view it. It will be available under uploads. So I'm going to shift a bit, and I'm going to speak about an interesting, I would say, a bit of an exotic approach to creating 3D model, which is creating 3D models using AI tools. This is quite a new solution. In fact, these tools have emerged late 2023, so these are quite cutting edge. And if you notice, I am only providing you with one option, which from my testing has been considered to be reliable. So what is using generative AI tools? Essentially, this works pretty much the same as with AI tools for images. So we are going to provide the prompt using a text input. And instead of creating an image, this will create a 3D model which we can download. Okay, so obviously this takes some time, but I already have some 3D models which I have created already. So this is the website. There is a free trial available, and you have a limited number of attempts that you can use. And I will show you cases where I was successful and cases where I had failures. So all the 3D models that you can see here, these are all 3D models, okay, have been created through text. There was no software involved, they have been created through text. In fact, let me show you some of the 3D models which I created. For example, this is a 3D model of a cat, as you can see by the prompt, a cat wearing a helmet, okay? So we have two kinds of prompts. We have a positive prompt, which is what we want, but for example, we can include a negative prompt. A negative prompt would include details of things that we don't want. For example, we don't want the cat's ears to show, for example. So we would put cat's ears. We can also select different styles and also things like text, like the texture. I have had several attempts with these 3D models. So for example, here I have an example of a dragon wearing a Christmas hat. Again, I would consider this mildly successful, okay? Other approaches have been more successful. For example, here you will see a frog, which is standing upright, and it is wearing an armored suit. It's not green because this is wearing a medieval armored suit, as you can see from the text description, okay? In other cases, I've been a bit more adventurous. So here we have a monkey sitting on a tree. So again, this is a 3D model which has been created through a text prompt, which I am highlighting. The success rates can vary a bit. For example, here I have tried to create a monkey riding a shark, but as you can see, this was not successful at all. In fact, it was quite a failure because the AI tool was not distinguishing between the monkey and the shark. But again, this is why it takes a number of attempts to get the image right. But if you have a simple image, or sorry, a simple 3D model such as this one, I think this is quite an interesting solution that you can use. Once again, once the model is ready, all you need to do is click download. I will choose GLB, which is our supported file format. I will hit download, and that 3D model is available to me. And in fact, if I go back to ZapWorks, okay, the doc is still processing, but in the meantime, here we have the 3D model of the cat, which is wearing a helmet, which I think you would agree is quite impressive given that this 3D model was generated from a one sentence, actually. So this is essentially the possibility of using AI artificial intelligence in order to create 3D models. So what are the pros and cons of using 3D model repositories versus generative AI tools? Well, with 3D model repositories, the quality is usually very good. Usually you can select, as you have seen, the size of the model. However, the limitation is always that if you are not paying for a subscription, you have a limited set of models that you can download, and it is very difficult to customize 3D models. With generative AI tools, you can create specific models, very specific, depending on reflecting your needs. Of course, this depends on the quality of the text prompts. As with most AI tools, there are limited models that can be generated for free. So again, here I'm running a trial. And again, the success rate may vary because, as I mentioned, the technology is still in its early phases. We are recording this video on the 1st of July 2024. I would assume that in a year's time, these solutions would have been optimized much more. So these are the two comparisons of the approaches of the resources that you can use for 3D models. Now I will pause for a moment. Thank you, Heather. So that if you have any questions, please, about these two the 3D models and images, I can address those questions. So any questions from the audience, please? You can also type your text, your questions in the chat if you wish.
I have a question.
Yes, Heather.
With the generative AI tools, is it possible for the images, when we were looking at the pink bowl, for example, with the apples, is it possible to upload an image? If you have a specific image in mind, but you want it to be enhanced or something like that, is that a possibility?
Yes. In fact, many of the platforms or the platform that I'm looking at supports text to 3D. I'm highlighting the screen right now. But an up and coming thing is to use images and from those create 3D models. But this is still in the very early stages. But I would say that in a couple of months' time, we would be able to, in fact, upload an image and create a 3D model. So far, the most reliable approach with AI vis-a-vis 3D has been through text. But this is something which I'm noticing is up and coming, yes. So you would upload an image, for example, an image of a fox, and it would provide you with a 3D model of that fox.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any more questions? Okay, so the reason why, again, I mentioned AI is because sometimes you might feel too restricted with using ready-made existing 3D models, and AI provides you with, let's say, an option which a couple of years ago or even a couple of months ago would not have been readily available. Okay, so moving on, another resource that you can use is or are videos. ZapWorks as a platform supports several kinds of formats for videos, and the maximum upload size is 200 megabytes, which is quite a good upload size. Again, in terms of resources that can be used, you can use online video repositories, or also you can use a device camera. So probably one of the simplest approaches is to use the camera on your smartphone or tablet and record the video. That's probably one of the fastest ways through which you can record the video. Of course, as with images, one should be aware of possible privacy concerns, and also some post-processing may be required. What I mean by post-processing is that you might need to edit your videos. As with images, if I look at the top table here, There are, again, repositories such as Pixabay or Pexels, which, apart from providing us with images, they also provide us with a repository of videos that we can download. Usually, the videos are of good quality. Again, you can select the size and quality of the video. However, be aware that it may be the case that from time to time, these websites change the terms of use. For example, they might cap or limit the number of videos that you can download, or they might limit the quality of the video that you download in the free version, okay? So again, this is a caveat with using video repositories or any repository that is available online, which is that the websites providing those videos may change their terms of use. Again, if we want to upload a video in ZapWorks, I will find my ZapWorks tab. All we would need to do is select video, okay? Click on the upload button, and basically this will take us to a window which will essentially allow us to upload a video. I don't have any video downloaded as yet, but the procedure is pretty much the same as with 3D models and images. With regards to the website, for example, if we have a look at Pexels or Pixabay, which is maybe a more vast repository. So this was the website which we had used originally for photos, but if you notice down here, we can search for videos, and we can again download, search for a video that we might want. For example, here, coincidentally, there's a turtle swimming, and we can download, usually download that video, okay, and integrate it within our augmented reality scene. So this is, again, a very useful resource which enables us to include not only images and 3D models, but also videos. Last but not least, the last type of asset that we can integrate in augmented reality are sounds or audio. ZapWorks supports quite a variety of file formats of audio files, and the maximum upload size for each audio file is 50 megabytes, which is also quite a good and a reasonable upload size. Again, we can use two main resources. We can use repositories that are available online, or else we can use the microphones that nowadays are embedded in every electronic device in order to record our own sounds. I have included, again, a number of repositories that we can use in order to, from where we can download audio files, okay? Again, these include websites such as Pixabay, Freesound, and also Zapsplat. And also, I am comparing here some of the limitations and benefits of using these repositories vis-a-vis using, for example, your own microphone. For example, one of the benefits of using a repository in this case is that the quality of the audio files is quite good, because many of these files would have been recorded with professional equipment or in a studio. However, again, finding the right audio file, especially in the case of audio, where you have to listen to each audio file, can be quite time-consuming. On the other hand, if you record your own sound, that is probably a very fast approach of capturing audio. However, some post-processing may be required, especially if the quality of the audio file that you have recorded is not that good. So essentially, these are the resources which I covered for the different types of digital assets that can be integrated into AI. We have looked at images, videos, 3D models, and also audio files that you can use, and the resources that you can use to find each and every element, hopefully, in your augmented reality story. Okay, so thank you for your, so this is the end of the presentation. I hope it was interesting, and more than that, I hope it is helpful for you in order to create your own story with your own elements, with your own characters, and with your own 3D models. Given that we have some time, I would like to see if there are any questions from the audience, because if not, we can terminate the session here. So are there any questions that you would like, or any clarifications? Okay, I can see that Heather has put in a link to the feedback form. May I remind you, please, to complete the feedback form at the end of this session, because that would help us with our continuous quality improvement. So do you have any questions with regards to, or clarifications?
No, thank you so much.
Sorry, come again, Laura?
Only for saying thank you.
Okay, thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Okay, so if there are not any questions, yes, I see that there's a question. Where can we access the presentation? Okay, so the presentation and the video will be made available on our website. We will process it. We will send you a link with the video, but it will all be made available through our Moodle platform, which will be accessible through the website, including the presentation. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you.